Good. Okay.
Not really.
Well, a very good morning to you and welcome to this morning's webinar brought to you by Capital Legacy. My name is James Lennox. We have a fantastic training and accreditation session for you today on one of the 4 products that's been launched by Capital Legacy in the last week. There is a lot to learn, a lot to go through, and I'm joined this morning by the CEO of Capital Legacy, Mr. Alex Simeonides. Great to have you here, Alex.
Nice to be here.
You're feeling good, and joining him is his good friend and Managing Director of Capital Legacy, Brandon Garbutt. Brandon, good to have you here as well.
Thanks, James. Good to see you got the memo for...
well, exactly. I thought, great minds think alike. Capital Legacy Colors, it's what it's all about. It's great to have you here with us. Do know that this is an interactive session. We will be answering some of your questions towards the end of this webinar. There's so much to get through, Alex. Before we jump into it, how you launched your products last week, 4 of them into the marketplace. How's this week been for you? It's
been a bit of a roller coaster, a lot of unexpected. This particular product we're going to be taking the guys through today, HomeVantage, has been a runaway success. The feedback we didn't anticipate. So actually, it's all worked out quite well that it's our first one we're going to be doing the training on. So with no further ado, shall I kick off?
I think so. Let's not waste any more time. Alex Simeonides will take you through HomeVantage.
So James, just on the last one, sorry to drop you for last week, but it was Larry King. So I hope you can understand.
I'll cope.
So just to everyone who's tuned in, thank you very, very much. I think we've registered about 700 guys who've come online. So I think it's a testament to what we've put out there in the last week. But just to explain to everyone sort of what the marketing opportunity is around HomeVantage as yourself as a financial advisor. So first up, can you believe it? There are 20,000 properties that are registered each month in South Africa. Now, just to give you some context, there's only around about 13 to 14,000 life policies that are done every month in this country. Of those 20,000, 10,000 have bonds. So that means there's 10,000 without bonds, which I found quite astonishing. I couldn't believe it. From a marketing opportunity point of view, my perspective on that is that means there's 10,000 properties that potentially are being transferred without bonds there, where you could be looking at consolidating debt as the financial advisor. Now, of those 10,000 bonds that are registered, only 50% actually go through, I call them the big 2, Uber and Better Bond, as the originators. The other 5,000 are going to the private banks, because there's this thing in South Africa where at a certain market value of the property, you default to your private bank and you get your bond there, not with your financial advisor. And this talks to the second part of the marketing opportunity for us at Capital Legacy, where we're saying, well, why is the financial advisor not involved in this process of purchasing a home or extending the bond or advising on where maybe a bond instrument is better than just purchasing cash? And a testament to that is, of those 5,000 bonds that are registered, the market value of the properties is 2 million and above. So that means that the estate agents who are tied to the bond originators, okay, are only dealing with the 2 million and below property values. The other 5,000 are going directly to the private bankers. Where potentially is the role that the financial advisor can play in this whole process? Now, let's also not forget that what we're bringing to you in terms of HomeVantage is a single stack solution. Because when you say, for example, default to your private banker, it's not just the bond that's being done. They're also going to hit you with the homeowner's insurance, with the life insurance, and they're going to prescribe to you who your bond attorneys need to be. And that's what we're trying to solve here with HomeVantage. We bring it all together for you, the financial advisor, to control the process and be a part of it and help the client actually benefit and yourself. Now, in terms of the marketplace at the moment, you guys may have seen some of these headlines. So property sales are rocketing. We've got some strong relationships into the bond origination guys in the country, Better Bond and Uber. And we can tell you categorically now, they are flying. They are having to hire left, right, and center. They're under-resourced because there are so many sales going through. One of the slides here talks about first home buyers or first-time property buyers. And you might think, well, where is that maybe applicable? Because the HomeVantage stack is only applicable where the property value is 2 million and more. For me, what that says is that there's a lot of people selling what was their first home and moving up. And they've been able to move up into a bigger home because interest rates are so low. So now we've actually hit the market at the right time with this HomeVantage, us together with you, the financial advisors, because now that we think there's a lot of game and a lot of volume with the right values where you can get involved in terms of the guys buying and trading up in their homes. Now, myself, I made a bit of a mistake. I've done 3 purchases of homes in my career, and I've always defaulted to going to my private banker. And whilst building this product, being a part of the build, I learned some hard lessons that maybe I should have actually shopped around. So one of the key elements of HomeVantage is that we will shop around on your behalf, acting like a bond originator, if you may, to try get the best interest rate. So just to give you guys an idea, if we shop around and go across 4 banks, now this is scientific evidence we've got from our partners, we could get up to prime less 0.99 or prime less 1%. So when I was just defaulting to my private bank, I was arguing against the wall. I was at best going to get prime less 0.3. But by shopping around, we can get you up to prime less 1. Historically, Brandon, we've got it at about prime less 0.5. We feel is a comfortable level.
Between 0.4 and 0.5.
Between 0.4 and 0.5 by shopping around. But it's all well and good to get the right interest rate, or try to go for the right interest rate. But also by shopping around, what we've discovered is that it helps you get a higher approval rate. So if you cast your mind back to the Larry King launch we did last week, Brandon would have showed you that we ask who your primary banker is. That's because we actually do want you to end up, or your client to end up back with your primary banker, but with a better deal than you would have had without shopping around. So what you need is to get a large amount of approvals to create that leverage and negotiation. And remember, HomeVantage will negotiate for your client first and foremost with your primary banker to make sure the deal can end up there, but we need something to leverage with. So what you can see from the slide is that by shopping around, we can get a higher rate of approvals. This is also particularly true then, or helpful when you guys have got a first-time buyer if the property value is more than 2 million. Now, just to give you an idea of what the marketplace is at the moment, and if you can log on and you can see these kind of stats at any point in time. So at the moment, you can see clearly ABSA have pulled back a bit from the bond market. So they're offering prime less 0.77, whereas Standard Bank are all guns blazing and offering the highest amount with Nedbank and FNB in the middle. About 7 months ago, it was actually the other way around. I think ABSA was the one granting. So I think it goes in ebbs and flows. And this is what we will keep track of at HomeVantage as the deal flow comes in to make sure that we're getting the best rates. We'll also be advising you, the advisor, to say, hey, look, RMB or Standard Bank at this point is granting the best prime less. This may not be the primary banker. Please be aware. Now, just to illustrate the mathematics around shopping around. So I said that we were always going to use a basis of, if I'm going to be shopping around, I'm going to get prime less. By shopping around, I'm going to get prime less, and I'm going to do better by 0.5. So if we see what that actually means. So in the first stack over here, without shopping around, my installments on a bond, I think this one is about 2.5 million, would be about 21,000. With shopping around, it's 20,100. So you as the financial advisor, now this is where the financial advisor play comes in, okay? So you as the financial advisor can say to your client, by shopping around, just on this particular bond, I can be saving you 1,500 Rand per month. Now, how that happens is the total installments on the first scenario is 5 million. The total installments in the second scenario are 4.8 million. Or put another way, in terms of the interest that's paid over the period, 2.3 million by not shopping around and 2.1 million by shopping around. So that's a total saving of 190,000 Rand. That is the figure that we show in the HomeVantage calculator as part of the HomeVantage stack, which Brandon will get to a little bit later. So that's one element of the HomeVantage, just to stress. There's much more in terms of the life insurance and the homeowner's insurance, and the whole thing works when you pull everything together. Now, in terms of the ecosystem that we're working in, we've started with 2 partners. So on the bond attorney side and the transfer and attorney side, we've partnered with Snyman de Jager. Now, and on the other side with the bond origination, we partnered with Better Bond. But the point I wanted to make crystal clear is that we haven't outsourced the work. So let's say, for example, the process of having the title transferred and the bond registered. We're not using Snyman's where they're going to be doing all the work. At Capital Legacy, we've got in-house attorneys we've built up over the years because of us doing the wills and the estate administration. Our attorneys will be doing all the paperwork. You'll be coming to our offices to sign, but we're using Snyman de Jager as the notaries and the conveyancers. So they'll oversee the whole process, and they're on the panels with the banks. We'll then be using Better Bond, again, not to outsource the origination. This is very important for you as the financial advisor. We're going to be doing all the origination in-house, just like we do the wills, just like we do the estates in an integrated manner. So that means when you call in as the advisor to your broker consultant or administrator, you're not having to bounce around to Snyman's or Better Bond. You're talking to us, and we're accountable, and we're tracking the process the whole way through. But we need Better Bond because we're using them for the origination. They've got the skill sets. They've developed this over the last 15 to 20 years. They're the ones that are going to get that prime less 0.5 extra. and that's what we're relying on. So just before I hand over to Brandon to go into the nuts and bolts of the products, we thought it might be appropriate just to give you a bit more of a background into how we actually got to this idea. So it's a bit anecdotal. So how we got to this idea is we were all cards on the table, having a nice lunch and a glass of wine or three. And I said to my business partners, I said, don't you find it strange that there's this bank that's just been launched? And I thought they would have intermediated it, meaning that they would have brought in the financial advisor, paid commission on the banking products that were sold. And I think a big opportunity was in terms of the bonds that need to be originated and using those bonds as an instrument in the financial planning world. And that sort of sets in motion this idea, which we've ended up now at HomeVantage about a year ago, where we stumbled on the solution where we said, well, why can't we bring together the bond, the homeowner's insurance, the life insurance? How can we sort of sideline the private banker and bring the business to the financial advisor and truly intermediate banking? So yeah, that's just a bit of a background as to how we actually ended up with the idea. I think it's always quite interesting as an advisor to know where it came from. But yeah, Brandon, over to you.
Cool.
Slide this way.
Morning, everyone. I'd just like to add to Alex's sort of backstory is I think that's where all sort of great ideas over the years get made is over a nice lunch and a few glasses of wine. And I think maybe the few glasses of wine sort of distorted time because we've put a lot of work, a lot of effort into this. And Alex saying the last year, it's probably been close to about 18 months in terms of what we've done with regards to get everything ready and in place for HomeVantage. So last week during the launch with Larry, we really pushed that this is something that we want to bring that's unique to the market. It's something that we feel that the financial advisor has always been sort of left out of. And with regards to being the financial advisor, you can always, as I said, you can always look after everyone's financial daily sort of plans and look after in terms of the life cover, the investments. But generally, a lot of people, their biggest assets is their home, and you've never been able to be involved in it. And I think that's what HomeVantage really wants to bring to the table, is to have one integrated process where we bring the financial advisor or referrer into the process, and we go through one entity to make sure that the person secures the best deal when purchasing a home. Guys, before we actually get to the nuts and bolts in terms of what is HomeVantage and the actual process, I think we can actually just sort of start off with a bit of a, if I can say, a bit of a glossary, because we're going to be using a lot of terminology that some of you are probably not aware of. And it's just nice to know when I'm referring to things that this is what we are looking at HomeVantage. So guys, obviously the first one being the bond. This refers to the home loan, which obviously you can secure at a variable or a fixed rate. And you know that the bond is usually taken over a 20-year term. If we look at home cover, that's the name that we've actually given to a combination of the life cover as well as the homeowner's cover that you'll see when we go through the stack when we lump them together, we call it home cover. If you take a portion of that home cover, which is obviously your life cover, this is the cover that is used to secure the bond. It's a whole of life and it's age rated. And if you were to pass away, would pay it directly into the estate. HOC, as most people understand out there, this is our homeowner's cover. And this is obviously used to protect the actual bricks and mortar, if I can say, of the house. That protects you sort of, we've got this sort of saying at HomeVantage, protects you from floods, fire, or just plain bad luck. Then something that's quite interesting and what HomeVantage is really all about is our home starter benefit. So our home starter benefit, this is the cash benefit that is paid to the client once the application process has gone through, and it is up to 50% of the attorney fees paid back to the homeowner as a home starter benefit to get the home going. The second portion of HomeVantage or the advantage of using us is our bond accelerator. What is our bond accelerator? The bond accelerator is a cash portion that's paid back to the actual homeowner anywhere between year 10 and year 15 to either accelerate the bond or to come close to paying off that bond. The default year is year 15 with regards to when this amount is actually paid from a bond accelerator point of view. A HomeVantage consultant, as Alex alluded to, is we're going to be having our own in-house consultants that will go with you, the advisor, to the actual client and go through the whole HomeVantage product as well as the HomeVantage stack. Bond registration fees. This fee is the fee that is payable to the appointed attorney when registering of the bond at the deeds office. Transfer fees. This is applicable when buying a new home or registering land, and it's technically up to the seller's instruction. Then something quite interesting is our seller incentive that has never really been used before in South Africa. And this is the share of the transferring fees which is offered to the seller to encourage them to appoint our attorneys. And remember, going through our attorneys, as Alex alluded to, allows us to provide so much advantage to the home buyer. So we want to encourage the seller to use our attorneys, go through our integrated process, and we want to incentivize them to do so. Then finally, in terms of HomeVantage, this refers to the stack of the services and products that are offered, which comprise the value that we can obviously give back to the individual when using us. And then you'll hear terminology that we bring to the fore quite a lot. We use the word stack quite a lot. And guys, this is just the building block of what HomeVantage is. So these are building blocks in terms of the bond, the life cover, the HRC, and wrapping this all up in the will process and gaining the home starter benefit and the bond accelerator benefit. This is what we're going to be referring to as our stack going forward. So, in a nutshell, people have often said to me, Brendan, why HomeVantage? So everyone says, but guys, you're kind of deviating from what you're known for in the market. You're known for drafting of wills. You're the biggest administrator of estates in the country, and you've provided this unique solution called Legacy Protection Plan that indemnifies the legal costs when you pass away. Why are you going into the bond market or the home buyer's market? So is a home not part of a legacy and should be provided for and protected along with the rest of the client's legacy? And why not do this through the will provider? Because one of your biggest assets that people are often referring to in their will is their home. So we want to assist from the beginning to make sure that it's actually structured properly when drafting the will. So it makes sense to actually go through a will provider when purchasing the home. Then what is HomeVantage? HomeVantage gives the client the ability to take out all the products that the client needs when purchasing a property, including the bond, through one simple product stack or one simple product provider or entity. Then just a couple of things with regards to the life cover. People often ask us in terms of what's the medical requirements or the medical questions. Simple medical questions with the cotinine test just for the non-smokers. What's really unique, and Alex really touched on, was the one point of contact. As Alex says, we've got partners assisting us in the process, but you're getting hold of Capital Legacy or HomeVantage when it comes to purchasing the home, and you're going to be dealing with one specific person, which is our HomeVantage consultant. We look at properties valued at 2 million and above. As Alex alluded to, this is the market that we want to play in. Guys, it's not what the bond value is, it's actually what the property value is. And lastly, as Alex demonstrated, the power of going through origination is providing competitive private banking rates. And I think you can see by using us and using the origination process, we can definitely get you probably 0.4, 0.5% better rate than you would going individually to your bank. Okay, so let us get to what you're going to be hearing a lot from the team in terms of the stack. So what makes up the stack? And I think I showed this in the presentation with regards to Larry. Well, guys, obviously we start off with a bond. The clients will be provided with a competitive interest rate, as I said, that rivals the private banking rates. On top of that, we obviously will be doing at the same time the life cover, and the clients are obviously covered for the full value of what they've taken in terms of the bond, because obviously we want to protect the greatest asset. And obviously, as I said, we'll be paying into the estate if anything was to happen. In terms of our home cover or our home owner's cover, again, our little phrase that said protects you from flood, fire, or just plain bad luck. And then what Capital Legacy is known for, our will and indemnification. So what will happen is our consultant will obviously go through the whole process, and then we'll wrap everything up in terms of the will and offer the Legacy Protection Plan. The thing that's quite unique about the Legacy Protection Plan, and what really makes us unique, and I'm going to show it in the example going forward, is now you're going to be indemnified if something was to happen to you with regards to your executor fees, with regards to the life cover that's going to be paying into the estate that you've just taken out to protect you with regards to the bond, as well as the conveyancing fees. These three things are now indemnified. And if you go to another provider, or in the past, you would have had to have taken out additional cover to cover these fees. And now you get them automatically indemnified if you go through our process. Then guys, what's the advantage of going with us? Well, first of all, our home starter benefit. The home starter benefit, this allows for immediate cash payments, where we say it's up to 50% of the attorney fees are given back to the home buyer to use as they will. We obviously like to encourage them to use it when building the home. We have a thing, you want to have better curtains, better tiles, things like that you can really sort of kick off your home, what we call a home starter. And then our bond accelerator benefit, which is extremely unique, where we say you can pick a term from 10 to 15 years, default to 15 years if you haven't picked. And this allows a lump sum amount to be paid back into the bond that will either bring that bond amount down or will come close to actually paying off the full bond. And I think what's quite unique in terms of, if we look at our total plan value, is there's no institution or entity out there that provides a single stack or a single solution going through one entity that can provide all of this and then give you something at the end. So if you actually look at other entities that you're going through now, is you kind of get a competitive interest rate. That's kind of what you get. That's the benefit. There's nothing in terms of like what we've got with our home starter or bond accelerator. And that's what's really making HomeVantage really unique in the market. But guys, as I said last week, that's all good and well in terms of a slideshow. But what does this look like practically? So what I've done is, last week we actually went through the full calculator, and I'm going to touch on the full calculator in a moment. The full calculator will be available for the advisor as well as our team to go out there and actually show you how it works. But what I actually wanted to show you is, if you go through the calculation, this is what you'd end up with. So let's take an example here. We've got a 37-year-old male, monthly income of 80,000 Rand a month, purchasing a property of about 3 million. Bond value, we've said it's about 90% at 2.4 million. And they've chosen to go for the full stack. So they're using our attorneys, our HIC, our life cover, and they've taken out the will and the legacy protection plan. And as Alex alluded to, we've got them a target interest rate of 0.65. Guys, we'll always show conservative figures. I think it's quite prudent to actually do it. You don't want to sort of over elaborate in terms of what can actually be done in the market. So that's why we've gone for quite a prudent and conservative interest rate here. And I'll still want to show you what the benefit is. So if you ran through the whole calculation and the whole calculator quote process, your interest saving, as Alex was saying, using us to do the bond origination, you would probably have over that term a savings of about 160, call it 170,000 Rand, just by going through us and us negotiating on your behalf from an origination process. In terms of the home starter benefit, this is the amount that we pay back to you, up to 50% of the attorney fees. In this example, we would be paying back 33,000. In terms of bond accelerator, so this is the amount that we pay back in year 15, is just shy of 75,000. And then the indemnification process. So remember, I told you, we'd do the will, we'd do the legacy protection plan and indemnify you if something were to happen to you. That's up to 250,000 Rand indemnification that you would actually have to take out usually to cover yourselves if something would happen. Now you're indemnified and you get it basically for free in the whole stack process. So the value of HomeVantage, or value to the client in this example, is just over 500,000 Rand, 525,000 as advantage, which you wouldn't have got going through any other entity. But questions have come up and said to me, Brandon, what does it look like if I don't use a lot of the stack, or a lot of the elements that make up the stack or the building blocks? So guys, I've gone on a really extreme example here. And I've said you haven't used our attorney, you've used our HIC, but you haven't used our life cover, and you haven't taken out the legacy protection plan. You will still have that interest savings of 168,000 Rand. We still saved you by going through our origination process. There's obviously no home starter benefit because you haven't used our attorneys, but you still have the bond accelerator benefit that we will pay over into the bond in year 15 of 20,000 Rand. And again, you haven't taken our LPP, so there's no indemnification. But worst case, looking at that, you have still got a value of just under 200,000, 187,000 Rand that you would not have got before if not coming to HomeVantage. So I've tried to show two extreme cases where you've gone for everything and what you can really get from the stack. And then obviously, if you haven't used part of the stack, guys, you're still getting a benefit, which is really unique in the market. But for many of you who've known us at Capital Legacy for years, we are the ultimate salesman. So what we've actually done is I've shown you a great extreme example. And guys, this is a real example that many of you have clients out there. And I want to show you the power of HomeVantage, not just for the client, but for you as the actual financial advisor. So let's go through this example. Again, a 45-year-old male, monthly income 120,000 in a month, purchasing a property of 6 million, bond value of 5.4 million. They're going for the whole stack. So they're using our attorneys, our HIC, our life cover, and our will and legacy protection plan with a target interest rate of 0.9. So we've negotiated quite well for them there. If you actually look at what does that mean to them from a HomeVantage point of view, we've got an interest saving over the lifetime of that contract for the bond of 376,000 Rand by just going through our process and us negotiating from an origination point of view. You'll see that it says 0 from a home starter benefit point of view. What we've actually done here is we've said that the client's actually chosen to not take the upfront home starter, but put everything into the bond acceleration portion of HomeVantage, which pays out in year 15. And in year 15, in this example, we'll be paying out just shy of 800,000 Rand, 776,000 Rand would be paid over into that bond in year 15. In terms of the indemnification, again, guys, we've taken out the LPP. Usually you'd have to cover yourselves for this if you were to pass away. What's happened here, because of our indemnification process, you now have the benefit of 504,000 Rand going through our process, which is extremely unique. Guys, the value of HomeVantage in this example for your client is 1.6 million. This has never been felt before by the clients out there. And this is why we say going through one entity, going through one integrated process, we can provide all of this as an advantage to the clients. But as I was saying, as I started off, we're the ultimate salesman. And I think Alex alluded to it when we actually came up with the HomeVantage concept, all the partners. And we were saying, in certain things that are brought out into the market, and we're talking about a banking institution where they didn't integrate their brokers or use their brokers to bring the clients to the fore. We said no, we definitely want to bring the brokers involved to the fore and get them involved. And if we look at what's in it for you, so what we've coined our phrase WIFM, what's in it for me, in other words, for the advisor. In this example here, the commission or the bond commission paid over to you, the advisor, in this example would be 35,000. If I look at the home cover commission, remember this is made up of the life cover as well as the HIC, it's an additional 23,000. So guys, by just sending us a name and a number and letting us run through the whole process and going through one entity, the amount of comm that will be paid over to the financial advisor would be, in this example, 58,000, just shy of 60,000 Rand for sending us your clients. And guys, this was not available to you before, or was not utilized by you guys before. And what we said last week is we always look at unique opportunities on how we can sort of increase the commission earned by a financial advisor. And I think in HomeVantage, we've definitely done this. So how does it all happen? Or what is the actual process that the client will experience and you as a financial advisor experience? Well, guys, like everything at Capital Legacy and what we've done for almost a decade is you refer, we fulfill, and you'll obviously refer us the actual clients. You'll send us the client details and we'll obviously set up an appointment with one of our HomeVantage consultants. During the first consultation, our HomeVantage consultant will meet with you, the broker, and your client and explore the HomeVantage offering. We actually want to go through the offering with you and the client sitting there. It's quite unique in the market, and it's not just something that you just want to sort of just shove out to the client. We actually want them to go through the whole process and understand what HomeVantage is. We then obviously run through, like I did last week, using our quick calculator. We'll provide a quote with the HomeVantage consultant. We'll do the quick quote for the client to explore the affordability, the HomeVantage benefits, as well as the home cover benefits. And like I showed in the previous examples, and I showed last week using a calculator, the client can actually see for themselves what the benefits are of using HomeVantage. We'll then set up a second consultation whereby the HomeVantage consultant will meet with the client to agree on the details pertaining to the bond, obviously which bank we're obviously going to go with, as well as the HIC, the life cover, and the HomeVantage choices, whether they're going to take the home starter benefit, or if they're just going to just use the bond accelerator benefit. Then we go to application phase. So Capital Legacy will gather all the information, all the documentation, and will make an application on your behalf to the actual bank. Now, below you'll see a small note where the life cover will automatically issue on signature of the OTP with a cover for up to 3 months. Now, guys, this is without a premium. So we'll not be charging a premium, and we'll be providing cover to the actual client for 3 months on signature of the OTP. And the reason for this, and I went to it before, why HomeVantage, is we've had experience when we wind up estates as executors, that once you sign an OTP, if something were to happen to you the next day and you were to pass away, we as executives still have to carry out that OTP. And by doing this and allowing the life cover to issue, we're actually covering you while the whole process happens, just in case something happens to you while the sale of the property is going through. And guys, again, this is extremely unique in South Africa. The next step is arbitration. So Capital Legacy will negotiate with relationship managers at the various banks in conjunction with the bond originator to secure, obviously, the best rate or best settlement for the clients to accept. Then the bond and the transfer attorneys will draft the documentation, which can be signed at any one of our offices. Alex alluded to before, it's not actually the attorneys who are going to be doing it. They obviously are the notaries, and they'll be drafting the documentation, but it'll actually be done at the Capital Legacy offices with one of our attorneys that will actually run through the whole process and will actually get the documentation signed. Then, guys, the big element hits in terms of stack implementation. So here's, you've signed it, the bond has been registered, and the full stack implementation happens. The bond's registered, the life cover is fully implemented, HIC is implemented, and at the same time we'll be drafting the will and putting your legacy protection plan in place. And finally, the commencement of HomeVantage. In other words, if you've taken our Home Starter benefit, this will be paid over to you. So guys, one simple process where you're dealing with one entity and one consultant. You're not going through a private bank to actually go get your bond, then having someone else call you with regards to life cover, then someone else calling you with regards to the homeowners, and then coming to Capital Legacy to do your will. We've said come through one entity, we have one consultant, and that's go through one simple process. Some important things to know. Our life cover is not the My Cover product that we launched last week. It's pure life cover, but we have a 10% discount built in. And this life cover is specifically for bond cover. It's a whole of life product and is age rated. The bond commission scale, we have a bond commission scale between the main banks and Investec. The different banks have different rates in terms of the bond commissions that we obviously negotiate with the various banks. Our HIC, as I said to you, we coining the phrase fire, flood, or just plain bad luck. With regards to the HIC, we always recommend that you put on a 10% amount onto the HIC cover. The reason being, we've actually seen it in the past. So let's say you take out your properties worth 4 million and you take out homeowners cover for 4 million. Well, that hasn't taken into account if something happens a year or 2 years later with appreciation. So now you've taken out cover for 4 million and something happens to your house and you're not fully covered. Also things like if something were to happen to your house and they have to demolish certain parts of your house or demolish the house in its entirety, there's extra costs there. And all you've done is secured it for 4 million. So we always try and be prudent and say add on 10% onto the homeowners. We have optional impairment cover that you can take out when doing the life cover. And then I've referred to our indemnity benefit that obviously protects you, indemnifies you if something were to happen to you with regards to the bond. But this indemnity comes with our legacy protection plan. So you obviously have to take out the LPP when doing the will to qualify for the indemnification. People often ask us in terms about our entry ages. So our max entry age is 60. And our maximum bond cover for now is we're looking at property values at 10 million and under. And then obviously, guys, as I've alluded to in the examples, you can choose in terms of the bond accelerator, you can choose anywhere from year 10 to year 15 for the bond accelerator to pay out. If you haven't made a choice, we obviously default to year 15. We've had the question asked to us a few times since we actually launched. What about switching of bonds? Unfortunately, in terms of switching of bonds, we actually can do it, and that'll benefit the client, and we'll obviously negotiate for a better rate for the client. But unfortunately, there's no commission earned that gets paid over to HomeVantage, which we obviously can't pay over to you, the advisor, when doing switching of bonds. Yeah. So, but in terms of the life cover and the HIC, and the legacy protection plan, you'll earn your full normal commission of that. In terms of existing bonds, you'll earn the commission on the increase in terms of the bond amount. So if you've got an existing bond of 2 million and you increase it to 3, you'll obviously be paid on the 1 million difference with regards to the bond amount, as well as the HIC, the life cover. We've then been asked, what happens in the scenario? So that's great, but people take out bonds for 20 years, but as many of you financial advisors out there watching know, not everyone keeps their bond for 20 years, and different scenarios happen. So I've put 3 scenarios here that we can actually answer. So if a client buys a house and 7 years later they want to upgrade or downgrade, and they change their house, or they purchase a new one, what they can do is they can transfer their HomeVantage to the new house. So they can transfer this whole benefit over to the new property. A second question that's come along, which we're experiencing a lot in South Africa, especially in the current situation. What if a client immigrates and leaves nothing behind? So what we'll do is we'll obviously cancel the benefit, and we'll pay out proportionally at that time of what is actually owed from the bond accelerator benefit. So if it's in year 10, 11, and you might have chosen a term of 15, we'll obviously pay you out for the proportionally at year 10 or 11. If a client's bond is settled early, so someone says, I've got a bond of 20 years, but they've done quite well financially, and they actually just want to settle their bond and pay it off again in year 8, 9, 10, what we'll do then, again, guys, is we'll proportionally adjust that settlement amount and pay that amount over to you. So you will never actually lose out from a bond accelerator benefit. The only thing that might change is we might pay you out proportionally if the term is earlier, which I think is extremely nice and unique from HomeVantage. So guys, that's it from a HomeVantage point of view. Going forward, our team of broker consultants will be coming out into the field. Our marketing team is putting together a hell of a lot of marketing material that's going to be available straight after the session. And we're going to be doing a lot more sessions with the advisors to encourage you to go out and speak to your clients, especially those who are looking to purchasing a new property. But what we've done is we've launched our own unique app. And it's not just from a HomeVantage point of view. This is a Capital Legacy app or portal. And what it actually does, it allows the financial advisor to actually click on it, and you can view all your clients or see your full client listing. You have access to quick quoting tools. So as Alex showed last week in our launch, we've got our My Cover calculator. We've got our normal LPP calculation, as well as our HomeVantage calculator and our key plan calculator that's coming out. These you can all access via Legacy Link or our app that you guys can actually use and play with when actually sitting with clients. You can view your clients' quote listing. So all the quotes that you actually will do will actually be available on your profile that you can actually go back and check. As per always with Capital Legacy, like you've done on our homepage, you can now obviously do through Legacy Link to submit a lead. You can download any product information. And guys, there's a lot coming. This is an app that we actually want all advisors to be able to use easily, make it extremely accessible, but with all the information that you'll need at any time when you're actually sitting with your client. But please speak to your broker consultants. They have all the information on how you actually can have access or gain access to Legacy Link. All you need is your email address and your existing password to log in. So guys, it's quite a unique thing that we bring to the market, one of the tools we just want to make easier for the financial advisor. So guys, that's it from a HomeVantage point of view. I'm going to hand back to James. I think he's got a few questions that a few of you have put to us during the webinar. And guys, you've got full access to us at Capital Legacy. If you have any other questions, please get in contact with your broker consultant, with your regional managers, or with myself and Alex and the rest of the management team. And we're happy to assist you with any other questions and come out and assist you with your clients.
Thanks very much, Brendan. I'm going to let you hang on to that because you're in charge, and it's always good to be in charge. So I'm sure, like me, you were sitting there and, well, look, I'm not a broker or a financial advisor. As a punter who's had the privilege of having bought and sold several homes in my lifetime, I wish this had been around when I'd actually bought my homes, guys. An amazing product, and I have no doubt that you're not going to have any problem selling this to people like me and others. Before we move into the questions, and there are a couple of questions coming through, do you have anything else you'd like to add, Alex?
Yeah, I think, guys, I think two points that I just feel maybe the need to get across. So with HomeVantage, it can feel that it's a complete disconnect with what we do at Capital Legacy, being the will and the estate administration. But when we put the product on the table and conceptually, and then we started building it, what we set out to do is to play to our strengths. So what are our strengths? Our strengths are we're really good at receiving a name and a number and sending out a professional to hold the client in that process and make sure that what is normally a difficult task, for example, a will and now getting a home and a bond, is taken care of at one single point of contact. The other thing we're really good at is, and I always refer to this as a mass production of a personalized bespoke service. So if you think about estate administration, there's a gazillion documents that need to go in, millions of phone calls, every single case is different. And that's the same as a bond. And we're applying the same methodologies that we do at Capital Legacy when it comes to estate administration. And that's why we're taking control of the process. And then the third thing we're playing to our strengths is that we're quite creative when it comes to insurance solutions. You know, what you've seen with a bond accelerator, what you've seen with us unlocking that home starter benefit, that all comes from our engineering when it comes to life insurance products. And I think the culmination of that is where we're able to say, look, if you take a legacy protection plan, we can automatically indemnify the executive fee on that property, the executive fee on that life cover paying the estate, and the conveyance fee. And that's separate from your legacy protection plan. No one else can actually do that. And that's where our creativity comes in. The second point I really want to just get across is that the experience I've had when I've been pitched a bond cover by, say, my private bank, is that it's quite expensive. And if I stack it against one of the other big five life insurers, it's a no-brainer. I need to go with a big five life insurance. I don't particularly know why the banks make it so expensive. When Brandon was talking about 10% less, I think the point we're trying to make is that the price of the life insurance is not where your banking life insurance sits. It's where your normal Liberty, Discovery, Sanlam rate sits, because it is underwritten. Yeah. Okay. And the other point is, and we debated this quite intensely, is we said, well, why are we not doing a term cover? Should we do a term cover? That should make it cheaper for the client. Honestly speaking, when you make a life cover, say a 20-year term, it doesn't actually create that much saving for the client. And myself, as a person who is in the 2 million plus bracket, I don't know from year to year. I'm in business. I don't know when I'm going to use my bond, settle my bond, buy a new house. I want to know that I've got a whole of life insurance that in year 23, I've still got the option of having that cover, because I may not be able to get it later.
Well, that's what I want to say, is you might not be insurable in year 21, 22, 23.
I can always turn it off if I want, but at least I've got the option for it to continue. So I just wanted to get those maybe 2 points across.
Look, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to know that all of these things have been thought of. And as you well know about Capital Legacy, it's all about innovation and certainly disrupting the market. And I have no doubt, well, I certainly understand why this has been such a hit since its launch last week. But it could also have had something to do with Larry King. So hopefully we'll have something going here as well.
After today, I mean, they're going to do it because of you.
Yeah, well,
I can hear the phones ringing.
Let's move into some of the questions. So we've got about 15 minutes or so you can take your time answering these questions. We've had one question that's come in, which goes, how can I ensure I'm involved at each meeting with the client? Now, I'm presuming this is a broker who's asked this question to say, how can I ensure that I'm involved at each point in the meeting with the client?
100%. I think one of our advisors has sent that one through. So like we've always said at Capital Legacy is you refer, we fulfill. And it's in our normal business in terms of the will and the legacy protection plan, the advisors always sent us their clients. And what we've always encouraged is to say that we always give the details to the actual advisor of when the appointment is, and we give them the choice to actually come along with us to the actual appointment or go along with the consultant. And many of the advisors have done that, and they've actually picked up further business by going with our actual consultant. So nothing changes in our world. When we set up the appointment, you as the advisor will know exactly when the appointment is, and you will actually be invited to the appointment. And I actually encourage you as the advisor to come with. It kind of gives that that relationship, that ring fence, that you owning the client and you actually are the one providing them with the HomeVantage benefit. We just the sort of guys administering it. But we really want to put the financial advisor in the forefront to say, you know, you brought them to us, or you brought the client to us, and we're doing this whole thing together.
It always strikes me that one of the things that Capital Legacy does that nobody else manages to do is to build that relationship with your brokers and financial advisors, and you stick with them. It's a great thing to see. I'm sure that nobody else is doing that.
Not at this point that we know of.
No, so
not to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. No, listen, I mean, and I've always said before, I mean, there wouldn't be sort of 5, 6 big insurance companies out there if they weren't doing a good job. So I always believe that everyone's got their space in the market and everyone's doing a really good job. And I think, especially in these economic times, the insurance industry is really doing well and really trying to encourage everyone to look after themselves. But what we've done really well at Capital Legacy is always keep the broker in the know of what is actually happening. I mean, sometimes jokingly, I mean, we actually get told that we give too much information to the actual advisor in terms of keep them too much updated. But we'll continue to do that. You'll see in every product that we actually bring out, we always want to put the financial advisor at the forefront. That's the lifeblood of the industry. We've got sort of 10, 12,000 just long-term advisors in this country between IFAs and tied brokers or tied advisors. And without them, the industry would fall apart. So we'll always bring them in whenever we launch something new.
Brilliant. Alex, I have a question for you. If I have an estate agent referring me, how can I make this work?
I'll take this one, huh? Thanks.
I thought I'd throw it to you.
So we launched last week, and there's a whole lot of things that now happen that you didn't maybe anticipate. And that particular question is a question we've had several times every day since we launched last week. So we've been working on a model where we can actually take it to you guys and say, look, if you've got an estate agent and yourself at play, what kind of financial package can we put together that can keep you both involved? Because as you saw, there's 20,000 properties out there being transferred every month. We have to keep the estate agents close at the same time. And I don't see any reason, myself coming from a financial advisor background, what do we call them in the day? Centers of influence, building up centers of influence. So we will be coming out with a rock solid model to help with that. Just don't want to give the firm answers right now. We've only had it for a week.
And I think it's a nice collaboration. You being the financial advisor, look after the finances of the clients, and then the estate agent, they're the ones who are at the forefront when a person is purchasing the property. So why don't we collaborate them together and make sure we can secure the deal with them? It
speaks a lot to this idea that we were speaking about a couple of minutes ago about relationship and building relationships and making sure that everybody works together, which is what Capital Legacy is so good at doing. There's another question that's come in here, and is what happens if the seller blocks the use of the attorney? Now, I know you kind of touched on that, but maybe you can just elaborate a little bit more on that. What happens if the seller blocks the use of the attorney?
So this question's come to us from when we were designing the product. Generally, the seller can choose their attorney. And as I alluded to in the presentation, we obviously want to encourage the seller to use our attorney and go through the whole stack or the whole process. One integrated process, which just makes it an easier process, less cumbersome, and obviously you can see the benefits if you actually go through our attorney. If the seller does block and they want to use their own attorney, all that will actually happen is the buyer will lose the benefit of the home starter benefit. Because remember, we're paying back 50% of the attorney fees there, and they'll just lose out on the home starter. But they'll still be able to enjoy the benefits of the preferred interest rate or the better interest rate. They'll obviously still enjoy the benefits from the bond accelerator as well as the indemnification cover.
Right.
So I think the other important thing that we're trying to achieve is that if your client is the buyer and you've got this unknown person who's the seller, as much as you're giving up just a portion on the transferring fees for purpose of the home starter, you also have a prospect as a financial advisor. We've been successful with other forms of campaigns, and because it's the introducing broker, we can actually introduce that if the seller consents to it. So I think it's another great market opportunity.
Fantastic. WIFM, one of the big things that you mentioned, being great salesmen, and there's a lot in it for people who get involved in this. But the question has come through: when do I get my commission?
So I think it's all about the timing of the products. So Brandon mentioned that the life insurance incepts the minute an offer to purchase is in place, or 3 months. So that means if you're just extending a bond, for example, there's no offer to purchase, it's still going to have the 3 months. Because it's incepting, even though there's no premium, we'll be paying the life insurance commission then. Okay, and this is because we're in control of the process through our HomeVantage consultants. The bond registration commission and the bond registration or the homeowner's insurance happen when the bond is registered, and they happen on the same day at the same minute. So that's when those commissions will be released. So it's actually going to be a 2-part payment that will happen over the period of the process.
Fantastic. Well, guys, there has been a lot of information to download and a very useful presentation. Of course, this is not the only accreditation and training, live training that's taking place. Before I get on to what's happening next week, just to say that if we didn't answer your questions in this session, I know that the team at Capital Legacy will be going through the questions that you've been posting through this webinar, and I have no doubt that you'll get back to your brokers and financial advisors to ensure that at least if you have any questions about this product specifically, that they will be able to answer. That's all about what Capital Legacy is about. It's about building that relationship and making sure that you know what exactly it is that you are pushing into the marketplace. Now, as I said, this is not the first and only one that we are doing of these webinars. Please do join us if you haven't registered for next week, the 26th at 9:30, same platform, Webinar Jam. You can join us on Wednesday to find out more about the second of the 4 products that were released last week. It's called My Cover. I'm sure that you will have a lot of questions around that, and of course a lot of questions about how it works. Well, it'll all be explained here, and of course these guys will be here again to give up their time to make sure that you know exactly what it is that you are pushing into the marketplace. Alex Simeonides, CEO of Capital Legacy, Brandon Garbutt, Managing Director of Capital Legacy. It's been great to have you here this morning, and I'm sure that you watching this have learned a heck of a lot. I certainly have. I think I might change my career and get into selling something like this. It's great. It's been wonderful having you as part of this. I'm James Lennox. Make sure that you join us next Wednesday. We'll see you here at 9:30. Thanks so much for joining us.